Hi there, it's Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on easy watercolor roses. I actually did a tutorial on easy watercolor roses back in November 2017, but it's been a long time, so I thought that I would do a little update. I still create these same roses all these years later, and they're my go-to flower because I just find them so easy and fun and beautiful. And so I thought that I would just show you a little bit how I've kind of updated the same technique that I've done for years and from that original watercolor roses tutorial. And I just kind of changed it up a little bit to increase my style maybe. Or change my style. So I'm just using my Kentucky Ganzatambi watercolor set, and I just picked out a dark pink color. I will try to find the names and numbers to all these colors, and I'll put them in the blog post that goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/watercolor-roses-remake, and that's all one word. And I'll put that link in the description below as well. So I'm starting off still just doing that same two little C shapes or little bean shapes maybe. Dabbing my brush into that water to wipe off a little bit of that pigment. So I start off with super duper pigmented, very little water to do those two C's. And here I kind of change it up. In my original tutorial I did two C shapes going around, and now I kind of do three. I'm trying to go really slowly to show you. This is real time right now. But normally I do these roses a lot faster just because part of my new updated style, I guess, is just to kind of let the brush do the talking. I try not to focus so much on creating the perfect shapes anymore, which in the first tutorial, it's a great tutorial. This first tutorial, I highly recommend you go and check it out because it really does break down each of the steps. Today I'm not going to show you so much each step, but you can just see a little bit how I make each of these petals wider than I originally did. That's just by applying more pressure to my brush as I go outward. So I release pressure at the very end of each petal to create that point. So very little pressure here, a lot of pressure, and then I release that pressure to create another tip to create each petal. And so anyways, yeah, back to that original tutorial. It's a great one to definitely check out to get each little step. And then from there, I just change it up as you see fit. Just use the same types of ideas of overlapping the petals, and you can make the petals wider, you can make them thinner, you can make them closer together, you can make them farther apart. There's so many different ways that you can change this up to fit your own style, if you have a style, or just how you want to do them. Anyways, here I am creating another one. Again, those two little C shapes with a lot of pigment and as little water as I could. Then I dip my brush in the water to take off a little bit of that pigment. So the idea is that it's darker in the center, and as I go outward with each round of roses, each circle of roses that are, or petals that are overlapping, I dip my brush in more water so that it lightens each of those petals going outward up a little bit. Although I find that this isn't all that important. I really think that with watercolor, no matter how you do it, it's going to be pretty. So another thing that I really like to do a lot of times is kind of wave my brush and create, instead of having the perfect edges, I like to try to make a little wave in the petals so that they have a little bit more character to them. Here I'm just taking the tip of my brush and just adding little nibbits of, I guess, of some petals in the background just to kind of add a little bit of something extra to try to finish off, make the roses look a little bit more finished, I guess. And now I'm going to speed this up a little bit more. I'm going to continue adding in roses onto my page. I'm going to add 3 more roses. This one's going to be another big one, and then I'll do 2 smaller ones. One I'll kind of put underneath this big one here, and then I'm going to do one that's kind of half of a rose at the bottom of the page. As far as where to put these roses on your page, it's really just kind of up to practice and really up to you. I always like to make a few big ones and a few smaller ones, and then we're just gonna fill it in with leaves. So it looks kind of awkward right now, the spacing between the roses and everything. It looks kind of awkward, but it won't look awkward at our finished product. So the verse I'm working on today is Psalm 16, verse 8, which says, I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. And this is the same verse and the same page that I did with my original Watercolor Roses page. I thought it would be fun to redo it. So I'm going to put the pictures to that original page and a bunch of other rose pages that I've done over the years in the blog post that goes along with this video, scribblinggrace.com/watercolor-roses-remake. So if you're interested in seeing the other rose pages that I've done, because again, I do these roses all the time, be sure to head on over to that blog post. I'll also put all of the links to the supplies that I'm using, paintbrushes, names of the colors, everything that you need to create this journaling page yourself. I also want to note that here I am going over the text of my page with the watercolor, but I can pretty much always, 99.8% of the time, I'm able to still read the text underneath the watercolors that I use. And I don't go over the text if I'm using acrylics, because then I won't be able to read it at all. But I also personally don't mind if I can't read every single word in these journaling Bibles, because I have other Bibles that I read and study from. So I just need to point that out, because that's probably one of the most popular questions I get asked is, how do you still read it? But it's also just a totally personal decision. So if you don't want to go over the text, you can absolutely just avoid the scripture. You can make a tip-in out of a scrap sheet of paper and add it into your Bible. You can use an ESV interleave journaling Bible, which has full blank pages. Those are my fave. But again, you can change this up as you see fit. This is just my personal art worship here that I'm showing you. So here I am adding leaves. This is my go-to leaf shape, where I just make a little pressure and then I apply pressure and release that pressure up at the top. But if the pressure stuff confuses you, just create a really pretty leaf shape as you see fit and just paint it in with the tip of your paintbrush. You don't have to worry about applying pressure if that confuses you. You can always just use that tip of the paintbrush to create the shape that you want. I like to play around with the pressure on my brush just because it creates a little more seam-lined look. But honestly, just, again, do as you see fit. So I'm using this olive green color as well. This pink color, dark pink, and this olive green colors are my favorite colors of this Kuretake set. I use them all the time. And now that my leaves, I'm just creating the big leaves first, and then I'm going to go in and add in a few smaller leaves. And I'm going to make the smaller leaves just really light, so it'll just be a lot of water and a tiny, tiny bit of pigment, just enough to just kind of see the shape a little bit, but I don't want them to stand out too much, because then it's just so many leaves. So, all right. Again, I'm just filling in the kind of awkward spaces with little light leaves here, and just help to fill out that page. Then I decided to take my yellow and just add little dots in pairs of 2s and 3s, just around my page, again, to fill in the empty spaces here and just try to kind of even out. Sometimes it can look a little bit awkward where there's white space, so I'm just trying to fill in those little white spaces with these little dots, and it just really is just the finishing touch, I think, to creating a page like this. Now I'm just going to dry my page with my craft heat gun, which dries my page super duper fast. You could also just let it air dry or use a hair dryer if you want to. And I am gonna add my lettering now. So I am gonna be writing out, I will not be shaken. Again, the verse that I'm working on is Psalm 16, verse 8, which says, I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be shaken. So I just wrote out my cursive with my pencil first to give me somewhat of a guide to where I'm going to add my lettering. And then I'm using my Tombow Food no Suke brush pen to do some brush calligraphy here. Again, I will not be shaken. And I do have tutorials all about creating brush pen calligraphy like this, and I will put those links in the blog post goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/watercolor roses remake. And just check out the description below. You'll find everything that you need to, and in that blog post, everything that you need to create this page. So now that I created the base lettering, I'm going to just take a Uniball Signo gel pen. Lately, I've been using my Uniposca paint pen to do this. If you are a avid follower of mine and you've seen my more recent posts, I've been using the Uniposca paint pen. But I finally ordered this brand new set of these Uniball Signo gel pens, which I love, and I just ran out and I couldn't find my pens, and so I finally ordered some new ones, and I'm really thankful, and I love these gel pens. They're really great gel pens, and I'm just adding a little line next to all the right side of the lettering, and that just helps it to kind of pop, adds a little finishing touch, and makes it a little bit easier to read, in my opinion. So that's it for my page. I did not have any bleed through, but I did have some ghosting. I'll show you right here. Ghosting is basically that shadow from the marker, but it didn't actually bleed through the page. So this is something that I can easily cover up just by adding some watercolor on the back side. You won't even notice once you have something else on the other side of the page. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out that blog post and the other links. They're all in the description below to help you create a journaling page just like this. All right, much love, many blessings. Bye.